Deafrowe with Deafrowe TV, and I'm back again with another review. And for this week, we're going to go into part two of the show, The Day of the Triffids, 1981. But before I get started, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification bell so you'll be ready for part three, part four, part five, part six, and go back and watch part one. And here we go into part two of The Day of the Triffids, 1981, the BBC special. Let's get going. As you can see, they do like a little bit of a recap showing him, the bandage eyes and all that stuff. And, meeting the doctor in the hallway or in the stairway, I should say. And the doctor leads him up to his office and he's trying to, like, look, I got to get to a phone and call someone. And he gets to the phone and realizes the phone line is dead. Phone line's dead, the electricity's down, there's no gas, there's nothing. I mean, they can't figure out what's going on. But he knows the doctor's blind, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go get some help. Just stay right here." So he ends up going into a different area of the hospital, and he realizes that most of the patients that he's coming across that are bedridden are also blind as well. Because the nurse did mention in the last episode that they had opened up all the blinds and everything in the people that couldn't move so they could watch the spectacle as well. And it's starting to dawn on him that, wait a minute, so many people are blind for a reason. It can't be just a coincidence. And of course, this guy's like, "Are you going to open the blinds yet?" And this scene right here is he, like I said, he's going around the hospital looking for all the nurses and all the doctors and all the other patients and stuff. And he finds them in the stairwell, but he finds them and then like they can't really do much of anything. They're stuck, almost like a scene out of a zombie movie. These people are blind and they have no idea where they are, which direction to go, and all this other stuff, and they're all clamored into this one spot and can't do anything. Nurses, doctors, patients, all are in one spot right here, as you can tell. And this kind of freaks him out. So he goes back to see the doctor, and he gets back and he notices the doctor's missing. He's just kind of disappeared on him, and he sees the window open, and goes to peer out the window where there's like a little walkout area and sees that the doctor has either jumped or fallen. You don't know because he's blind now. Either he's just given up or, you know, he might have thought that was the door and got turned around and just went out the door thinking it was the door to the hallway, and it was actually the door to the outside and hit the railing and boom, right over. So at this point, Bill's, I got to get the hell out of here pretty much. And that's kind of what he does. Gets dressed, puts some sunglasses on, get the hell out of that hospital. And he kind of freaks out a little bit as he's like running, trying to get away because he's seeing like the streets and everything, and the streets are empty as he gets out of the hospital, and like everything's just like quiet, way quieter than he's ever heard it in this area. And yeah, he kind of freaks out for a second. And he has to catch his breath. Let's see if I can catch a shot. And then we meet Joe, who is leaving her house in her dad's car because her dad and the housekeeper are both blind. And you find out later why she's not blind. Let's see. But her car runs out of gas as she goes to get help. And the people that are just sitting there notice, they hear the engine running and they automatically assume somebody's got to be able to see if there's a car running and somebody's driving it, so that means somebody can see. So these people that are on the street right here, they're like, "Oh, that's a car, so it's somebody that can see." And then like they start to approach her and it's like, you can help." And then this old man comes out of nowhere, this bearded grumpy old man, not somebody you want to mess with, you would think. And he's got this long metal stick, and he's approaching Joe, very nicely, trying to get her confidence. And then proceeds to hold a knife to her, strap her down, and try to make her make it basically trying to make her a see and eye dog for him. It's like you can see and I can't, so now I got you and you're gonna help me. So basically, yeah, that's what's going on there. Then we cut back to Bill, and he's going down this road a little bit, and he hears a honking of a horn, and he realizes it's coming from this car where this little girl is sitting there imitating like she's driving the car right here, and he realizes that she can see and he can see, and the little girl's name is Tina, as you find out from the father right here. At first, the father's like, stay back, leave my little girl alone," and all this kind of stuff. He's like, "No, I don't want to harm anybody. Just I'm coming in here to see if there's anybody else that can see like me. I noticed your little girl could see." And so, yeah, the father, like, "Go get your mother. Tell her I found somebody else that can see." And the dad proceeds to tell him like that he's been hearing like people around the block screaming for help, shouting, and all this other stuff because there's no phones. Like I said, there's no electricity, there's no gas, everything's off. Uh, so yeah, and the father is the first one to come to a theory about what's happening, and he thinks that the people who have seen the comets that were coming down at night are the ones that are going to be completely blind because they looked at something that ended up burning something out in their eyes. But there were so many people looking at this spectacle that it's going to be widespread in their area. But he also knows that in their area, the comets came closer than other areas of the world. So he's got hopes up that maybe other places were not as badly affected as this area, considering he has a son in France on a trip or something like that. And so he's like hoping that his son's okay, but you never know. And he asked Bill's like, "How many people have you come across that are still able to see?" And he's like, "Well, your daughter's the first one, and I just started walking around this morning." And he said, "Oh Christ!" So both me and my wife woke up this morning. We were both could not see. We were both blind when we woke up this morning. And Tina being the only one that could see, and then his wife went to go do something in the bathroom, falls down, knocks herself out over the tub, and Tina has to go in there, clean her up and everything. So she brings Tina go gets the mother. Mother comes in, and they're talking about like maybe you can help us. Is there help coming and all this stuff? Like the mother is very like uplifting and hopeful that there's help on the way and all this other stuff, and the dad's trying to like appease her pretty much, saying yeah there's gonna be help on the way and all this, don't worry about it, and sends her back out. Go lay back down because she cracked her head on the floor this morning in the bathroom. And so yeah, she goes back, and that's when the father decides to have a quiet word with Bill. It's like, "Hey, there's whiskey in that drawer over there. Go grab it real quick. Pour me one, pour yourself one. And I got a little discussion to have with you." And the dad's basically making sense of everything that's going on. He's like, "I want you to tell me what you've seen so I can cope, and then I can maybe pass this on to my wife in little bits because I don't want to give it all to her at once and she's not going to be able to cope. So I can digest it, cope, and then let her know." And then Bill goes on to tell him like, everything is down right now. Like the streets are empty and all this stuff. And the dad rightly makes an assumption that like this ain't gonna last very long. It's quiet now, and people are staying in their house right now, and or for the most part, and but some people are starting to move around. He said once people realize that there's no help coming, things are going to become very chaotic. And we can get ahead of this, Bill, if you can stay in this block with us, help us, along with Tina, keep these people safe, fed, and everything else that are blind. And he comes up with an idea. It's like we're real decent people. We're not bad people, but things can go south really quick. And I got a kid that can see, and I'm worried about her pretty much. So he wants somebody that can see to look over his kid that can see because he knows he can't look after his own kid anymore in the dangers that are lying ahead here, pretty much. And so Bill's like, no, he's still optimistic that there's some more people out there that can see, and he's like, I gotta go find out. I gotta go see if there's more people. And so the dad's like, yes, do what you got to do, but once you find out that it ain't gonna be as good as you think it is, you need to come back here and help us. And so yeah, the dad's, you know, basically is like, do what you got to do, and they pretty much discussing all this over the whiskey that he had in a drawer. And yeah, and the proposition is going to be stuck in Bill's head throughout the rest of this episode, because as you will see, Bill's going to find out that things are a lot worse than he thinks it is, which is, it's almost like the dad here is prophesizing to Bill. It's like, look, things are going to get a lot worse if you don't help us out. He said, there's not just us in this flat either. There's other people in this flat. And then, who knows? They're going to probably take advantage of his daughter like that. And so Bill sets out to see if he can't find more sighted people, and he comes across these, I guess you can call them hooligans, soccer hooligans or whatever, and they're being led by one person that can see, like a soccer hooligan friend, and they're basically just singing soccer songs, football songs, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, they come across the shop that's been busted open from the outside, and as you can see, this one lady's fisting to bite down on some Tide because she can't see what she is eating. They just know they're hungry, and they're busting into this shop trying to get stuff out. Well, the one-sided guy's like, "Hey, it's all on me. Tell me what you want." And one of the guys says, "I want a woman." And so, "You want a woman? There's a nice one right here." And yeah, he proceeds to like try to grab this one blind girl and lead her over to his friend that's also blind and let him get it on. But she's like, no, 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 basically trying to lead in the rape here. And Bill tries to intervene and basically gets punched in the face and the stomach by the hooligan that can see, and realizes, yeah, the stuff's gonna get worse. And then as he's sitting on a bench, he hears this music coming out of the church of a woman singing. And it's kind of a surreal moment right here where you see that there's an actual blind guy who's always been blind. Apparently, he's going about his day like he normally would with his stick, getting around the town, and even he is kind of freaked out by the of not being that many sounds other than this woman singing. As you can see, he's like, "What the hell? There's only this woman singing. There's usually more noise," and he's like tapping around. And yeah, we cut to Bill sitting on a bench here, tending to his wounds from the guy he just got hit in the head with, or punched in the head with. And all of a sudden, he realizes the singing has stopped. The girl is just crying because apparently the singer in the church is also blind, and she was just trying to, you know, calm herself down by singing. And that's when, anyway, so he's takes off again through a different area of town, and he hears Joe screaming, the one that was taken by that old man, the old grumpy dude, and he realizes what's going on, and he gets upper hand on the old man that's blind, obviously, beats him up a little bit, and unties or cuts the rope on Joe that he has tied around her neck, and they kind of escape the old man there and make it to a bar. And that's when they kind of introduce each other. He said, "I'm Bill Mason. I'm Josella Payton," which, by the way, is played by Emma Ralph, and she goes by Joe in this movie or TV show. And as you can see, they're just chatting it up about what stuff happened last night, and she tells him the whole reason she didn't see the comments and stuff was because she had a hangover from the day before and fell asleep at like 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Took some sleeping pills, and didn't wake up until late that morning. So she never even got to see the lights. But she knows for a fact her dad and the housekeeper did. And then so she decides, like, after they have a couple drinks or whatever, there's people at the door trying to get in. He's like, just be quiet, just be quiet. They'll move on. And they can't get in because it's obviously locked. So it's like, oh, and the people outside's like, oh, there's another pub nearby. We'll just go there. So that's kind of what they end up doing. They move on. And they talk about who else they've met that's sighted. And he's only met that one child and her, and she hasn't met anybody. And I would also argue that he met that one hooligan too that could see. But I don't know if he wanted. I don't know if he didn't mention that because he got beat up, or I'm not sure, or he didn't want to worry her about sighted people doing that stuff already, and it's only the initial start of this whole thing. So after they get finished chatting and drinking, she's like, "Well, I got to get back to my house and help my dad and all this other stuff." And he's like, "Well, can I go with you?" And she's like, "Well, I was about to ask you, but I didn't know whether you had somebody to get back to." He's like, "No, my parents are dead. I'm not married. I don't have a girlfriend or anything like that. So I'm just kind of on my own here." And so he's like, "Okay." Well, so they go find a car with gas in it and head on over to her father's house. But as you can see here, things are about to get worse because the Triffids are out and about. And they are hungry. And as they come up to the house, they see that you can see the housekeeper right there laid outside the door. As they get there, they see that the housekeeper's been stung on the face and killed by a Triffid. And he's like, "No, we got to move. We need to get away from this spot." And then that's when the Triffic comes up and is trying to sting them as well. And he ends up getting him on the hand, but he just thinks the stinger's out of poison. Like it's empty and it's been stinging a lot, and so that's the reason it wasn't able to kill him. So yeah, he tries to get the upper hand on it, get the pitchfork on it. He gets the pitchfork on it, kills it right here, as you can see, takes it out. And he realizes that he got stung on the hand because he put his hand up to protect his face. And when he got stung on the hand, he didn't, it stung, but it didn't kill him. It didn't make it numb. It didn't do anything to him. And that's when he realized it must have been doing hell of a lot of stinging to be completely empty of poison. And then they go inside. Well, they don't even make it into the house. They make it to the door of the house, and she sees her dad laying on the floor, dead from being stung. See right here. Yeah. And Triffid basically standing over him. So creepy, creepy, creepy. And before they can even turn around, too, and they try to get back to the car, he's like, don't even try to help your dad. He's dead. Don't, and if you go in there, you're going to get stung by that thing, too. And all the while, you hear that weird clacking noise that they're making on the trunk of their those two stems at the bottom of their trunk. It's just a creepy ass sound the whole time this is happening. So yeah, they get back in the car. They try to make their way back into the car, and there's already like one right outside. Another one has come up. Let's see if I can get a good shot of it here. Right next to the one he just killed. It's almost like they're communicating with each other where to go. She's like, they kill for food, don't they? And it's like, yeah. Let's see if I can get a good shot of this one. Ugh. And that's like, of course, that's the stinger that's on the inside of one of these things. Let's see if I can get a good shot of it here. Here we go. You see the thing, it's kind of moving. It's got those two things in it. It's like, oh, it's going to get you. And she surmises that it was listening the whole time they were there. And that's why that other one showed up, because it knew that he was bashing the other one in with a pitchfork. And he harkens back to what Walter told him. Is like, if they ever got one thing up on us, they could probably hurt us and end up doing a lot of damage to the humans. So at this moment, Bill's like, "Look, I know a place where we can get some anti-Triffid gear because we're going to need it if they're out like this already." And they even come across like a little area where they're driving through, and the Triffids are actually like herding some of the people into certain areas. See the spot? I think it's right here. Yeah, it's a crazy shot. So he has to swerve around this guy. But then they cut over and they see that you see this shot right here, and you see like four Triffids are like hurting these people in a certain direction. They're not going ahead and stinging them, like they're trying to take them in a certain way so they can put them all in one spot and eat them. It's kind of nuts. So yeah, so then they speed away from that area, and this is about the time he says we need to go get some anti-Triffid. We got to get some Triffid gear basically to help us fight these things. And they take us. He knows his direction to go to a place to get it, and they take this one turn where there's this truck blocking the road that has food in it, and all these people have swarmed around it. And so he decides like we got to go this direction, so I don't have much of a choice. And these people are swarming around this road trying to eat the food, and he's like, "Oh shit!" So he tries to like take the car up onto the sidewalk and get around them, and it doesn't work out like he expects it to, and they surround the vehicle, and you can hear the people on the outside of the vehicle get mad because they know these people in this car can see, and they want them out. They want them. I mean, it's almost like zombies trying to make it into your car is how this looks. It's crazy. And there's like he can see. There's somebody in there that can see, and there's like several people like clamoring all over the vehicle. Get out! Get them out! Like you can see. And then so we want them out your bastard. I mean, they're just pissed, as if you know somebody can see because they just happen to luck of the draw be able to not to we're not looking up at the sky that night and looking at those comments. But yeah, part two, crazy stuff, man. I'll tell you, I love this show, this mini series or whatever. But yes, that is my part two review of the Day of the Triffids. Stay tuned for part three. Deafrowe out.